What up?
We are back, baby. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestle Recap. I'm Justin Tate.
I guess I'm Michelle Tate.
And we are still, even after a 1 week break, the only brother-sister duo who carries you on a journey of wrestling, pay-per-view by pay-per-view, throughout the decades.
And we have a real great time doing it, but not as great of a time as I'm going to have this weekend. Justin, do you know what I'm doing? I think you do.
Oh, you are going to eat meat for the first time in a decade.
No. Decade and a half, by the way. But
sorry.
Who's counting? But Justin Tate, they always say like don't meet your heroes or whatever, but I don't care because I am meeting my hero.
Me?
Sting.
Oh, Sting. Yes. Sting. He's your second hero. I mean, I'm first, and then
I mean, yes.
That's amazing. So that's going to be at Permian Basin Comic Con, right?
Yeah, and it's so crazy because, I do a lot of I go to a lot of horror cons and stuff, and I never thought in a million years that of all the places I would meet Sting, it would be in Midland, Texas. But I'm pretty stoked. I got the all access pass, which means I get a guaranteed meet and greet and autograph, and he's gonna sign my AEW belt right next to Darby's. I've already decided that. But yeah, it's a kind of interesting. So the con is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but Sting is only available on Saturday from noon till 3. And so they told everyone, if you want to meet Sting, pre-buy everything because you may not be guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous because we have crazy wind happening in West Texas. Not only today, but tomorrow is really bad. It's supposed to be 60 miles per hour. And I'm like, if you ruin Sting's flight into Midland, Texas, I will hunt whomever down because Sting is coming and I will meet him. And then I thought, he lives in Dallas. Maybe he's driving.
It could be. It could be. He just wants some road time. Feel like the old days.
Flying is kind of annoying these days. I would probably drive, but
that's true.
I'm really excited. I don't even know what to say to him. I have so many things I want to say. I don't know.
That's how I felt when I met Undertaker. It was all I could say was, hi.
I know, that's how I feel like I'm going to be. And thank you, Justin. Justin moved this week and my mom surprised me. She said, hey, Justin had this for you. And it was an autograph. Sorry, I got really distracted. I thought I saw a bug. It was an autograph from the Undertaker himself, which I did not know was coming to me. It is on display in my living room now.
Very cool. And I have one just like it right here in my office.
So technically your wife gave me hers, right?
Well, yeah. Basically, we realized that we don't need two of the same picture autographed by the same guy. So it naturally went to you.
Well, and it's kind of funny because we had to buy 2 photo ops because it said only one person per photo op. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy 2, but what if I just want Mark in the picture with us?
Right.
It's not a money thing. It's just, I don't know, but I will have to let everyone know how that goes. Mick Foley will be there too. He's the other one I'm going to meet. I think he's there all 3 days and you don't have to buy a special something. And then Mickie James is going to be there. I'm sure her line will be very long with a bunch of West Texas neckbeards.
Probably so.
Probably. And then everyone else on the con is anime people that I have no idea who they are. I'm sure they are real big in the anime world. I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, I think we have some business to get to today. You want to do it?
Yeah, I guess so. But first, we got to get in that time machine.
Do it.
Ah, 1990, the best year in the world, where Michelle was born and she was still an infant and couldn't talk. Oh no, did Justin freeze?
No, I didn't freeze.
I thought you were just frozen, being weird. There you are.
Oh, okay. I just got a very troubling text message from my wife, and it said that the dog locked herself in the closet. And I said, oh God, do you need help? And she said, no, LOL. So I'm guessing everything's fine now. Sorry for the delay. That happened in the time machine though. So I think really, that was years ago now.
I just want to know why your closet has a lock on it.
I have no idea. I
And how
don't
did the
know.
dog do it?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Let's get into this show.
Let's do
We
it.
are recapping today. WWF SummerSlam 1990 took place August 27th, 1990 from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, PA. Now, the Spectrum, it actually opened in 1967, home to a ton of wrestling shows over the years. Unfortunately, demolished in 2011. So we don't have the Spectrum anymore. On this show, the attendance around 19,000, a little bit more than that. Very interesting commentary team for this show.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon and Rowdy Roddy Piper. Very odd combination. We'll see how it goes. And the number one song on August 27th, 1990, let's play it. So it's a group called Sweet Sensation and a song called If Wishes Came True. Did you know that one, Michelle?
I've never heard of this song in my entire life.
I had neither. So that's must have been a one-hit wonder. I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's kind of like fitting for the show because it's Sweet Sensation, Sweet Sapphire. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that works. That works. So tell us about the background of this show.
Alrighty. Well, this was the third annual SummerSlam pay-per-view, which is crazy to me. I feel like we've been doing this for forever. But there were 2 substitutions on the show, which we'll kind of get into later. But again, Jesse Ventura is absent. And, you know, when I was doing some of my research into the show, I learned that the legend goes that Jesse got mad at Vince over a video game and they wanted Jesse to be in the video game and he didn't want to. And so rather than say, no, I don't want to be in the video game, he just quit the company.
Yeah, and Jesse always had, that was one of his big issues was payoffs, like royalties, that sort of thing. He kind of felt like, hey, like you're using our images and likenesses in a lot of stuff. We should be paid more for that. And he also wanted to unionize, of course, famously. And he had enough and headed on out.
Yeah, and you know, I don't blame him because it's kind of like all these college, you know, athletes that were like, "Hey, you're making a lot of money off jerseys and me, video games. Like, I want to be paid." But dang, he's a little extreme to go ahead and quit everything. But
Yeah.
I miss him already, and it kind of sucks because I was like, "Oh, maybe he'll jump over to WCW." But
Yeah, we will see him one day in the future, but not quite yet. Not quite
in
yet.
2025 on Main Event, I gotta wait that long.
That too.
Well, there was one dark match for the live crowd where Shane Douglas, who we previously saw as half of the Dynamic Dudes in WCW, defeated Buddy Rose.
Interesting stuff there, right? Shane Douglas. Because remember that last WCW show we watched, Johnny Ace was on his own, and we were like, did they finish that tag team? So apparently they have.
And Buddy Rose, I know that name. Is he one of the long lost siblings on Schitt's Creek? The Roses.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. I'm rewatching that show right now, if you can't tell. Such a good show. I can't believe there's only 5 seasons. So sad.
I know.
But anyway, we have not done this. We skipped a week, and the wrestle stats, they need to be told, Justin. So give me some
wrestle stats.
Man, and the wrestle stats, they are coming. So let's get into this show specifically. The average age of wrestlers on this pay-per-view, SummerSlam 1990, 33 years old. The youngest of them, Shawn Michaels of the Rockers at just 25 years old, and the oldest, Bad News Brown at 46. So the average age of death for all wrestlers that we've covered who have now passed on, that actually changed a little bit. It was 60. It is now 59.
Aw, womp, 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 womp.
Yeah, that's not good news, but let's have some fun news. Out of the 224 wrestlers who we have seen on Wrestle Recap, 123 of them are still alive today for a percentage of 54.91%.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's get into this interesting show from the summer of 1990.
Oh, it's a funky one, all right. And you're going to hear a lot of me talk in this show. You're welcome.
I'll just sit back with my topo and enjoy.
Your topo. I saw this woman leaving the store yesterday with a bunch of topo, and she was bougie as hell. And I was like, that's like Justin. Me while I was buying all my new Bluebell flavors that got released.
Of course, yeah.
Right. Well, For this show, there is an opening shot of a sunny, pretty beach. I feel the beach aesthetic was a bigger thing in the 90s, don't you?
It really was like that was like the thing. People in surfboards and neon clothes and like those high-waisted bikinis that came up to the bottom of their ribs, But
Yeah,
Vince probably wanted shots of a nude beach, knowing him.
of course. And he would probably find one of like old people and be like, yeah, this is wonderful.
Look at the striations.
The striations. Well, they show some old clips of the wrestlers that we'll be seeing on tonight's show. But then we go to Vince McMahon, who is already screaming on the mic, and he's with Roddy Piper. You've already
Mhm.
told us they're the commentary team. It's just so weird, but it is really funny because Roddy isn't dressed in a suit or anything for his commentary role. He's literally just in his regular t-shirt and kilt, which I found that very funny. But Roddy's very fired up. Vince talks about our two main events and Hulk Hogan because he is the only one that matters. But we do get a lot of crowd shots here, and the crowd seems super pumped. But pretty quickly, they take us to our first match, which Vince says will be a real humdinger. And oddly, this proves that Vince McMahon has always been 80 years old, even in 1990.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get into it. It's a tag team match that we're kicking off the show with. Power and Glory, managed by Slick, versus the Rockers. Now, we've seen all these guys before, but we've never seen the tag team of Power and Glory, just their individual members, right? In fact, Paul Roma, we've not seen since Survivor Series 1988. So it's been about a year and a half. But this match and the team of Power and Glory kind of came together when Paul Roma had been attacked by Dino Bravo on TV. And the Rockers came out for the next match, but Paul Roma thought he had been attacked by the Rockers. So things turned into a brawl, and then Hercules came out to help Paul Roma, and that set up what we're seeing here tonight.
Yeah, well, I've realized in this very first match that Vince's shouting is going to get on my nerves fast. And I'm like, Vince, you have a microphone. Don't yell. But then Roddy is subconsciously like matching him. And so they're
Yeah.
just yelling at us this entire first match. It was horrible.
And people talk about, like, there's some people who say, oh, Vince is the worst commentator of all time. To me, Vince McMahon and Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan are the commentary voices of my childhood. And
That
so
makes
it
sense.
doesn't matter, like, were they the best or the worst? It's what makes me feel like a kid again.
Right. And honestly, like what Vince says, like it's not horrible. Like he's not horrible on
Right.
commentary. There have been worse, but I don't know. I just don't like him. But yo, every time I hear Paul Roma's name, I just think of Italian food. Like, is it because of Roma tomatoes? Like, that's a thing,
Probably.
right? Or there's
Yeah.
like, is there like an Italian chain restaurant called Roma or
Isn't there like
something?
Tony Roma's or something like that?
Is that a
Isn't
pizza
that a
place?
restaurant? Tony Roma's? But I don't know if it's Italian.
I don't know. He needs an
Huh.
Italian chef gimmick because it's the 90s. Why the hell not?
Yeah,
Right?
everybody had an extra job in the 90s. Why not?
I mean, freaking who is it? Mike Rotunda's a captain now, so why can't this guy
Yeah.
be a chef? But okay, so apparently Shawn Michaels, that is, really was injured during this match, which is why they focused on his knee so much. Have you heard that?
We will get into that at the end of the show, actually.
Okay.
But you can see Sean limping slightly
Mhm.
as he jogs to the ring. And it's kind of like when you get hurt as a kid and like you don't want anybody to know. You're like, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Does it hurt?
like
As
when you would roll your ankle at recess and you were embarrassed.
Right. Now, before the match even starts here, Power and Glory, they attack out of nowhere. And then that's what we'll get to later on. Hercules whacks Sean in the knee with the chain. So that takes Sean out of the rest of the match and luckily gives him more time to book NXT. So it worked out.
He's planning ahead 30 years from now, right?
Exactly. Now,
Right.
is it just me? Or does Paul Roma look bigger here? And I don't mean he ate too many Roma tomatoes at Tony Roma's, but like maybe he was like digging around in Hercules's bag and I don't know, found some needles and he thought, oh, this is either going to make me bigger or it's Ozempic. I'm just saying he looks a little bit more bulky here.
I feel like from this point on to about 2015, all wrestlers are going to go through this phase.
It's like,
Because I mean, there was a whole era in the 90s where I think everyone was juicing. Like, because if you
well, and then
didn't, like, you
it
can get
stopped for a
fired.
little while though with the steroid trials because like Hulk Hogan deflated for a little while,
Oh,
and
God, right?
then all of a sudden it like starts coming back, So
I will still never understand the steroid trials just because it's predetermined matches. Like, it's not like you're cheating in the Olympics.
yeah, he was
I
all
don't know.
dumb.
I mean, it was dumb. I don't defend Vince in anything, but I'm like, it's private business. Let them do what they want. But
Yeah,
anyway, the ending was cool. It looked like super powerful. So it was like a combination of a suplex and a flying splash, and they called it a powerplex, which also sounds like a car dealership that also sells ATVs and motorcycles.
the Powerplex,
Right?
now
Like,
on Highway 80.
yes,
Yeah.
you're thinking of the same business I am. That place out there, right? Yes, you're totally
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. No, it was cool, and the cool thing was like the suplex off the top and the splash off the top. There was no gap between them. It was like suplex, splash, bang, done. It was
Yeah.
really, really cool.
It was
Great
a
timing.
powerplex.
Yeah, Power and Glory win the match in just 6 minutes. How'd you feel about this as an opener?
It was fine. Again, I was wondering why Sean wasn't in it more, which that's who I was looking for the most out of this match. But yeah, it was fine. It was good. What do you think?
Yeah. Fine opener. Open up with an angle. Them getting attacked before the match is good stuff. Now, post match, Power and Glory continue to attack both Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. And as the Rockers are like lying next to each other on the mat, Piper says that they look like Mick Jagger and David Bowie right now, which is a reference to a rumor that Jagger and Bowie were once found in bed together.
Okay, I thought he was just making a joke because they're like rockers, because I did not know that
that
was a rumor.
too, but there was also that to it.
So yeah, I think I was a little young for that joke, but now I know the reference. Got it.
Yes. So we go backstage to Sean Mooney. Now we will repeat that phrase. We go backstage to about 20 times, literally, during the show. But Sean Mooney's back there with Mr. Perfect and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Sean asks if it's wise to accept a challenge for the Intercontinental Championship from a wrestler that Perfect knows nothing about. And Perfect calls himself different things, perfect, and there's perfect this and perfect that. And Bobby says that tornadoes do no damage. They just kick up dust and wreck some trailer parks in the Texas Panhandle. I mean, he's not wrong. You might move it a little south of the Panhandle, but yes, he's
I was about
accurate.
to say that stupid tornado and dust kicking up better not ruin my meet and greet with Sting this weekend, or I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, they go straight to the ring, and then we get Mean Gene Okerlund in the fake locker room with those skinny lockers that nobody would be able to fit anything into. Mm-hmm. Gene is with the Texas Tornado, who makes a lot of references to tornadoes and tornado warnings, but he keeps saying tornado.
Tornado. I'd expect that from JR.
I know he's from Denton, Texas, where I went to college, but like at this point, he might as well be saying tornado. It's pretty much the same thing, but let's go on to the match.
Yes, let's go on to this match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship with our champion, Mr. Perfect, who's got Bobby Heenan with him, versus the Texas Tornado. Now, we last saw Mr. Perfect on WrestleMania 6, but we've never seen Texas Tornado before, so we've got to talk about him. But before anything, I was very confused when he was announced because it was not a Tejano band that we used to listen to in our dad's truck, because I was like, this is not the Texas. I thought they were announcing the Texas Tornadoes. I was like, holy crap, why are they on here? I thought I was the only person who ever heard of them.
¿Qué pasó?
Oh, thought I was your only vato. I love that band. All right. So for those of you who don't know, you're going to know who the Texas Tornado is in just a second. But he was born February 3rd, 1960, and he died February 18th, 1993 at the age of 33. So really only about 3 years after this show, 2.5 really. He was 30 years old on this show, and the last pay-per-view we will see him wrestle on is WWF Royal Rumble 1992, which is
a year and a half from now. Like, that's crazy.
And it's crazy because you should probably know his real name is Carrie Jean Adkisson, better known as Carrie Von Erich, part of the legendary Von Erich family, wrestling family in Dallas. So it's kind of weird to think he only had like a 2-year run on WWF, right? Because they're so like legendary. But he had previously beaten Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and his daughter, Lacey Von Erich, had a notable run in TNA in the 2000s. And I think, how are those Von Erichs that have been on AEW? How are they related to the Von Erich family? Because
so that's Ross and Marshall. They are Kevin Von Erich's sons.
Okay.
So Kevin's the only original brother who's still living.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. I don't know if they're actually signed with AEW or if they just kind of do one here and there, or if they're with ROH.
They're on ROH more than they are AEW because they're the trios champions with Dustin Rhodes in ROH.
Really? I thought he was with Sammy Guevara. This shows how much I pay attention.
But Dustin's also the tag team champions with Sammy Guevara. Dustin's a double champion in ROH right now.
Which I'm totally fine with because I love Dustin, but like, man, we need to do like a full-on special episode on the fall of Sammy Guevara. I don't know how it happened, but I know why. This is where the substitution that I mentioned earlier happens. Brutus Beefcake and Mr. Perfect have been feuding all summer after Mr. Perfect had kept Brutus from winning his match in a tournament for the vacant Intercontinental Championship, while Mr. Perfect went on to win the title. However, on July 4th, Brutus Beefcake was standing on a beach with his friend who was parasailing, crashed into his face, knees first, breaking multiple bones in Brutus's face. And so therefore, the newcomer, Texas Tornado, was deemed Beefcake's replacement in this match. So when you told me it was a parasailing accident, I thought he was actually like on the parasail and like a shark jumped up and whacked him in the face or something cooler than this story. Man, like, okay, this is a dumb question. Why didn't he move?
I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where they're like, look out. And he turns around and he didn't have time to grab his big shears to cut her legs off or something. I don't know. But yeah, it like destroyed his face.
Golly. And plastic surgery probably wasn't as good back then as it is now. So, oh my gosh. Well, anyway, a little fun Reddit fact that I learned. So Carrie Von Erich, aka Texas Tornado, was wrestling on a prosthetic foot at this point, and he had gotten into a motorcycle accident, injured his foot, and he started like walking on it too soon. Like he was stubborn and he just wanted to get going, but he had to have it amputated. But apparently he was very self-conscious of it. Like he kept it very hidden from other wrestlers and never took off his boots.
Yeah. I mean, like he would even shower in his boots.
Oh,
like,
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's like how much he didn't want anybody to know it. But another fun fact, all three of these guys, Perfect, Carrie, and Bobby, are all dead now.
Bobby Heenan's dead?
Oh, yeah. Bobby Heenan's dead.
I didn't know that. I just thought he was old. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Who am I getting him confused with? Oh, I know. Never mind.
Pat McAfee?
No, but speaking of, okay, so like, I was just gonna say, Roddy doesn't have the voice for commentary, and that's all I'm gonna say. But I'm gonna say more.
What are you talking about? I don't have the voice for commentary.
That. But then Mark pointed out, he goes, he sounds just like Pat McAfee. And I was like, sorry, Pat. I actually like Pat on commentary. I know I'm in the minority probably, but I like him.
I like him too.
Once Mark said that, I was like, okay, it kind of sounds like a Pat McAfee on Coke, but yes.
Well, I found this interesting during this match. Like usually when somebody comes into the company, all traces of their former name just vanish, right? Mm-hmm. But even though the name Texas Tornado was a WWF creation, a Vince creation, Vince on commentary still refers to him as Carrie Von Erich as well as the Texas Tornado. So like now I'm thinking about it. Now I'm just waiting for them to call John Cena the prototype or The Rock Flex Cavana or Cody Rhodes to be called Cody.
Or they could just call him Stardust. And then
Oh,
he would march
oh.
right back to AEW.
Yeah, right. He'll be the first one to jump back and forth, actually.
I know. I was thinking about that because people are saying it's going to be Andrade next because he's
Oh,
apparently not
right.
happy with his booking right now. I'm like, brother, maybe you should give TNA a shot. I don't know. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know if
I
you're
don't
going
know.
to be
Andrade
happy.
might just want to go take a nap. I don't know.
Right. Well, this match 100% did not go the way I expected it to go. Okay. Like, I figured Mr. Perfect would dominate the whole time. It'd be a short match for him against a regular old mid-carder new guy. That's how I thought it was
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah, but that's not what happened. And I love the finish here because Kerry locks in the claw, which was his father, Fritz von Erich's finisher. And then he locks it in on Perfect for a few seconds and then just does a discus punch all the way around like a tornado.
Well, it was a quick match with a surprising outcome, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Texas Tornado wins the match and the championship in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Were you shocked?
I wasn't shocked, but I gained a really even better appreciation for Mr. Perfect selling, right? Because he comes into this all cocky. I don't need to know anything about this guy. And then he bounces like a bouncy ball all over for Kerry Von Erich. Perfect's he's so good.
He's so perfect. I thought you were going to say that, and you didn't say it.
It was too on the nose. I couldn't.
Whatever. Well, Mr. Perfect is pissed. He is just stumbling around. He's yelling at the ref. He is madder than hell. Roddy makes a comment about how Mr. Perfect isn't living up to his name. Ouch, man. And so, as Texas Tornado celebrates with his belt, we go backstage with Mean Gene Okerlund. And he is supposed to be interviewing Sweet Sapphire as she came to the show with Dusty Rhodes. But Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect, no, they're not having that. They come in hot, pissed off. And Bobby Heenan says that this was the worst officiating he's ever seen and that Texas Tornado broke every rule. Mr. Perfect says no one beats Mr. Perfect, but Texas Tornado did. And Brutus Beefcake did, but that's probably because he's the best in the world, right?
Oh, good God. Good God.
Brutus Beefcake, I think is going to be at Squared Circle Expo. And so I want to go up and be like, you're the best in the world. You're better than CM Punk.
I may live 300 miles away from you now, but I still know where you live.
Do something. I dare you.
I will drop a flaming bag of poop right on your doorstep.
You'll cause a giant fire and go to jail because it's windy here. Well, Gene tells Bobby and Mr. Perfect that they're out of control, and Mr. Perfect swears there'll be a rematch with the Texas Tornado. Maybe this time, he'll do a better job and jump in with both feet. Hey-o! Whammo! Wham!
All right.
Wham!
All right.
Hey, yo. Well, we go to the arena, and oddly enough, Psychosis is waiting for us in the center of the ring. Yeah. Oh, wait. That's Sensational Sherri in a mask. Crazy makeup. Weird silver corseted outfit. I don't know. I did not know who the hell that was. At first, I was like, that's not Sherri. They're covering it up by making her wear a mask. But then she talked and I was like, oh, that's Sherri. But it's a look. It is a look. And Vince goes, what in the world is that? Get a good look at that look.
Yeah, this look, it made me feel uncomfortable.
It was weird, right? It was like an animal, like because she had like a cat nose painted on, but it wasn't an animal. Anyway,
Yeah.
So Dusty's music plays and Fink announces Sweet Sapphire, but no one comes out. And Roddy jokes that maybe she just needs a hearing aid. Psh, okay, so they start Dusty's music again and announce Sweet Sapphire again, and we get nothing. Fink then says she has 30 seconds to arrive or she forfeits the match. So Sherri, of course, counts down the last 10 seconds on the mic. Then, in her Sherri way,
through a poop.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then Fink just declares her the winner. And I'm thinking, this was weird, but I know more is going to happen later. Like there's something. They're building something.
Yeah. This isn't going to go nowhere.
Yeah. So honestly, I think Sapphire just saw that Psychosis was in the ring and was like, nope, not touching that. But
Psychosis, where's Juventud Guerrera?
Oh my God, that is a name I haven't thought about in at least 25 years. But immediately we go to the Mean Gene and Dusty Rhodes backstage, and Gene asks Dusty to, shed some light on where Sapphire is. And Dusty says 10 minutes after they arrived at the building, she disappeared. He looked everywhere for her, but he says he's worried big time because she's never done anything like this before. Hacksaw has a random cameo with his 2x4, and they're still looking for her. He's like, I got my 2x4 and I'm going to look for her. So then they just take it back to the arena for the next match.
Yeah, let's get into it. It's a singles match. Tito Santana versus the Warlord. Last saw these guys just earlier this year on WrestleMania 6 and Royal Rumble. Here's the interesting thing. First off, Warlord, remember he was with the Barbarian as the Powers of Pain. Well, they have apparently now split at this point. So that's one thing you need to know. But here's the other substitution that we mentioned earlier. Now, Tito had been feuding with Rick Martel since the breakup of their tag team Strike Force, right? Mm-hmm. And Rick Martel turned heel and he's doing the whole model gimmick now. But Martel was injured prior to this show. It was going to be Tito versus Martel. So the WWF created this story that Martel was unable to appear because he was competing in a modeling tournament in Paris. I don't know how a modeling tournament works, but we'll go on. So he was replaced here by the Warlord, which makes sense for some reason.
Yeah. Well, Roddy says he's not going to resort to calling Tito a taco vendor or a bean eater. WTF? Like you just said that. Like, I
well, this is the guy who had his entire match cut from WrestleMania because he was halfway painted black.
I was about to say this is not the first thing Roddy will say that will probably get him banned from commentary forever. Yeah. A question: since when is Warlord just Stone Cold Steve Austin with a beard?
Right. Yeah, he does look because he's got the black trunks and everything. But this is how I remember Warlord when I started watching wrestling in 91. Like the black trunks, the big black shoulder pads, the half face, like silver mask. And like my wrestling figure of him when I was a kid, it looked like Warlord does here.
That's crazy. I think I vaguely remember that wrestling figure because you had your whole collection and there was like the early days collection, which they were smaller and shinier. And then as you got into the later 90s, they became like bigger and like, and so I think I'm visualizing the right one in my head. By the way, speaking about Justin's childhood, I don't know if all of y'all saw on our Twitter account, the picture I posted from Justin being the earthquake coming out of the closet. Go see it. If we get 100 likes on it, I will post the video. So
we should say literally coming out of a closet, not coming out of the closet. Well, yeah, I mean, like there was a closet and I was coming out of.
It's symbolic. I'm just kidding. Anyway, the most interesting part of this match, honestly, was Slick was, being slick and walking around like slightly, and he had his own shoe in his hand. And so for the whole match, I was like, what's he going to do with that shoe? And then I thought, that's where Toni Storm got it. The whole watch for the shoe. Like, did she get it from Slick?
I'm just glad that Slick didn't go tits out.
I mean, maybe he could have. You don't know. But did you ever see, like, did he ever do anything with that shoe?
I don't think he did. He was just like stalking around with it. And he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to put this back on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This referee, I don't think we've seen this referee before. He is so expressive with his body. Like it's like he's calling football penalties during the match or getting ready to do the lambada or something. He's
lambada.
He's like, pull him out of the corner. You got to get him over there. Get him into the punch. Close the fist. I'm like, good Lord, dude. Are there deaf people in the crowd? Who are you signing to? Are you playing charades? What the hell is happening?
He's probably new and doesn't realize that's going to get real tiring after the first match.
Yeah. Hebner like pulls him to size like, you got to take it easy, man. We're just refs. Like,
you're going to be sore.
3. Yeah.
Well, this was totally a filler match and it didn't need to happen.
Yeah. When there's like a big guy and he's got like a new look, he ain't losing to Tito Santana.
Nah,
he's just not. So the Warlord wins the match in 5 minutes, 28 seconds. I don't think we really have any thoughts on this match, do we?
Just that it didn't need to happen.
Okay, good enough. Well, after a quick promo for the upcoming Survivor Series, I yawned thinking about another Survivor Series. Dang. I mean, that did not happen. I take that back. I'm happy to recap Survivor Series. We have Sean Mooney backstage talking about Demolition adding a third member and how that's given the team an unfair advantage. Makes sense. Demolition goes through all the combinations of which two of them could defend the tag team titles in tonight's match. Could it be Axe and Smash? Crush and Axe? Smash and... Hey, I'll bet it's the two guys who are wearing the title belts right now, huh? Yeah, it's probably those two. I'm just guessing. But anyway, Sean brings up the Legion of Doom, who Crush refers to as a couple of second-rate imposters who need their butts kicked. Couple things wrong with that sentence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just a couple. Anyway, Demolition makes their entrance, and you can tell this is kind of cool that the crowd is really starting to respond to unique entrance music, right? Like they just hear the first couple of notes and they know who's coming out and they respond accordingly. It's kind of a cool thing to see.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But Mean Gene is with the Hart Foundation in the fake locker room with the skinny lockers that you can't fit anything in. Now, after making some vague threats to Demolition, Brett quotes Phil Collins.
I thought that was so goofy. And I was like, I'm so glad Justin's talking about this because it's like his guy.
That's right. The voice of the 80s and 90s, Phil Collins, the man whose music plays in grocery stores across America. Phil Collins. Brett says, to quote Phil Collins, what we have are two hearts beating as one. But Jim isn't a heart. I mean, he's a Nide heart.
Well, and also, like, they're not in love. They're just attached.
It was really a stretch, Brett. Just really a stretch. Anyway, let's go to the match. Get into it.
Oh, yes. Let's do. It is a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWF World Tag Team Championship. So, of course, we've got Demolition, our champions, versus the Hart Foundation. So, we've seen all these guys except for Crush. Crush is new, so we got to talk about him. Okay, he's the third member of Demolition, and he was born April 14th, 1964, but he died August 13th, 2007 at the age of 43. Now, he was 26 on this pay-per-view, and the last pay-per-view we'll see him wrestle on is WWF Unforgiven 2001. So his real name, Brian Keith Adams. And I was like, isn't that like an R&B singer from the 90s? Brian Adams? Right?
Brian Adams.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't R&B. He was like kind of like pop rock, pop.
Maybe I'm thinking of Brian McKnight. That's who
That's who you're thinking of. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he was a tag team champion, not Brian McKnight, Crush. He was a tag team champion in both WCW and WWF, as well as Japan. And then after retirement, he tried to like start a boxing career, which who wouldn't? You make a lot of money, right? But he also served as a bodyguard for Randy Savage.
What a job that is. You got to protect the Slim Jims. That's like half the job right there.
Is that a euphemism?
No, we're talking beefsteaks.
Well, I was confusing the hell out of myself because now there's Crush, but Smash used to be Crusher. And so I was like, oh, hold on. This is throwing me off.
That's weird. That's weird. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was hard to find matching gear for Crush, right? Like Axe and Smash had all this like signature gear that they cobbled together from bondage shops all across America. And then here comes Crush and they're like, shit.
I was hoping maybe they gave like, because Axe has gotten a little older, a little fluffier. Maybe he had some old gear that Crush could fit into. I don't know.
Still got the glitter all over it too.
Still. Well, I was wondering why Axe wasn't at ringside, and I thought that's strange, but I'll see why later. Ugh.
Yeah, boy, this is gonna go south quick. Now, the two guys to me in this match who worked well in the ring together are Bret Hart and Smash. And it makes total sense if you think about it, because like Bret was trained by Stu Hart, his dad, and then Smash grew up in Minnesota with Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude and several other guys who were like in-ring technicians. So it just, I don't know, the two of them, the blend, I loved when they were in the ring together for this match.
Yeah, they had really good chemistry. I didn't know if like Crush was just kind of the new guy, so I thought he was not off. Like it wasn't bad. It just seemed to not mesh as well. Yeah. But hey, Demolition got the first fall with Crush pinning Bret Hart. There was a lot of boos. Crowd was pissed.
Yeah, crowd's behind the Hearts on this one. Well, the Hart and the Neidhart.
Yeah, well, Is that just me? Or does Jim Neidhart look like he needs a diaper change? Because he's got his trunks over his tights and it looks like his diaper is very full. Like maybe he's wearing butt pads. I know a lot of women do that these days.
Jim Neidhart.
What? What? So it was a fart that was trapped in there?
Or Natalia. I mean, she, you know.
Natalia was in there?
Yeah. She wanted to come along on the road, learn the business, you know. I don't know.
That's why she's crying all the time because she was stuck in her dad's trunks for years.
She's not crying. Her eyes are just watering.
Oh, Jesus Lord.
Something to point out here that we'll notice later on, okay? Demolition does different face paint than the other guys.
Yeah.
Meaning like people like Ultimate Warrior and Sting, they're using like some sort of latex paint that will literally peel off during the match in like chunks. Demolition's face paint gets smudged, but never actually comes off. I find that interesting as a choice.
Yeah, I do too. Especially because like even now, who's someone like Darby Allin, he doesn't use that latex stuff either. He uses whatever it is that gets smudged.
They
and
probably
just
realize it's really bad for you to put that on your skin.
What, the latex?
I would think so, right?
I would think it'd be at least better because it kind of sits on top of your skin versus like a grease going into your skin. I mean, you and I had to wear grease paint for like 10 summers of our life. You like 20. And so I don't know, maybe we'll get to be part of a class action lawsuit one day.
Ooh, that would be fun. I'm going to get rich.
Me too. Well, Crush attacks Earl Hebner by tackling him while he's in the middle of a 3 count. How the hell was he not ejected?
That was like, and then he tackles Earl Hebner, and then he like lifts him up off the ground to stop the count. And I was like, kick him out. There's a third guy you could use. But anyway, he did get disqualified, leading to the Hart Foundation taking the second fall. And now we're tied at 1 fall apiece. And Phil Collins never wrote a song about that. Just saying, I searched his whole discography. Nothing.
Okay, stupid alert.
God.
This is so stupid. Even I think it's stupid. You know I like stupid. So Axe runs out to the ring while no one is looking and hides under the ring. So I'm like, this is interesting. What's it gonna be? What's gonna happen? That's not the stupid part, you know? The stupid part is when Axe and Smash switch places. Was it Smash that he switched with?
Yeah.
It was Smash, right? Okay. And Earl Hebner somehow just doesn't notice, even though he stares right into Axe's face. He just doesn't notice. This is so dumb. And even Vince is like, that's Axe in there. And Roddy's like, how can you tell? Like, really?
That's it. It's like, it's Earl Hebner. He's at TV every week. He's at the house shows every week. And he doesn't know Axe from Smash. Completely different face paint, completely different bodies, completely different hair legs. Not even kidding. I stopped taking notes on the match at this point because I was just like, nah, it's dumb. There's no point.
I almost did, but then the Road Warriors showed up. And I know they're the Legion of Doom, sorry. But they came to expose the fact that there are 3 members of Demolition out there wrestling.
Gasp!
You know, no one else could tell. Thank God for them.
Yeah.
Well,
so dumb.
Yeah. Well, the Hart Foundation does get that final fall. Demolition, I think you should kick out Crush because he's obviously not helping you much. But the Hart Foundation wins the match and new champions, tag team champions, in 14 minutes and 24 seconds, the longest match on this show. This show's weird. It has a lot of very short matches, which you would think I would like. There was a lot of filler too, so I was like, But I kind of think, before I speak too soon, I kind of think this is my favorite match of the show.
You know, it's definitely a contender. Yeah, no, I mean, except for that stupid ass swap out thing. I mean, this was fun to watch. Crowd was behind it. It was well built. It was like ruined by that stupid swapping thing. But take what you can get.
Yeah, I don't get it. All right, people. So if you don't like a lot of filler in your wrestling shows, hit that 30 seconds forward button about 4 times because I got to talk about the filler because it happened. But
I cannot find that button here. Let me see.
Shut up. You're going to talk too. You have to talk to me throughout this. So we will try to make this as fun and painless as possible. So we get our first ad for WrestleMania 7, which will supposedly be at the LA Memorial Coliseum. We'll see about that.
Mm.
But it randomly showed when Mr. Fuji ran a 5K. And
In
then
his full tuxedo.
yeah, and I was like, I forgot about that. And why do we need to remember it? But then we got a shot of the Bushwhackers, which is by far the most exciting moment of this entire show. They talk about how over 100,000 screaming fans were at the last WrestleMania. It's optimistic. Okay. We see so many random video clips like Dusty Rhodes. He was riding on the back of a garbage truck, and then the Bushwhackers were on like Splash Mountain. I was very confused.
Yeah, it kind of seems like bushwhackers wouldn't be allowed in Disney because
I
they
know.
lick people's faces. Like, that kind of seems like an automatic disqualifier, right?
Right.
But they also give a phone number for tickets, which is funny enough that you got a call to get your tickets, right? It's just how it was in the day. But that phone number was 1-800-877-1414. Now, it says no longer active. They put that on the bottom of the screen whenever there's a phone number. But I looked this phone number up to see what it is now.
I was going to, but I knew you would.
It appears to now go to like a COVID era website called Save Live Events Now, which is funny because I'm basically begging somebody to save me from this live event with all this talking. But yeah, no, it is a real phone number. I didn't try calling it, but I looked up the phone number and that's who it goes to.
What's interesting is that this Save Live Events Now, I'm surprised you didn't like know this phone number or this organization because you work in live events. And when COVID happened, y'all got like shut down for a good 6 months because events weren't happening.
Yeah.
And so maybe you should have supported Save Live Events.
You know what? We're in a time machine now. So if we just go forward to COVID, it'll be so much fun. Let's skip COVID. Let's
I was like, what the hell? We're going to stop COVID, whatever bat that was or pig or whatever it was. All right. So backstage, we get Mean Gene with the Road Warrior, Legion of Doom. Sorry.
Yeah. Question. How is the fake locker room always empty? Like, there's never anybody changing clothes back there or getting their bag or anything. Just
I think it's because the only thing that can fit in there is like a binder, like a notebook.
Yeah.
And so when they're like, if I need my notebook, I know where it is. But so Legion of Doom, they challenge Demolition and say that they want them in their worst way.
That's hot.
The Hart Foundation joins them, saying that, hey, they'll take on anybody, anytime. And Gene asked the $1 million question, how does the Legion of Doom fit into all of this? Because he's like, why are the Hearts here and everything? Well, Legion of Doom, they say they're going to fit in however they want to. And they also say that there's no champagne back there because they have no sorrows to drink away. I'm like, I feel like that was a save, like a quick save. But the segment ends with Hawk stroking Jim Neidhart's beard from behind.
Oh my God.
Ew, stop it. I don't like that. Ew, I don't like that at all.
Say it again slower.
Oh, shut up. Sean Mooney is outside Demolition's dressing room, hearing all kinds of angry hoopla going on in there.
Yeah. I'm just thinking he's standing behind him, stroking his beard. Anyway, the wall around the door here is painted rainbow colors. Like Demolition is hiding out at a daycare.
Well, I mean, maybe they were just trying to tell us something. I mean, they're
they're doing the face painting booth.
Hey, that's not a thing anymore. Oh, maybe we're just adults now. I was like, they don't
Maybe
do
so,
face
yeah.
painting anymore, but
Yeah.
Well, he says he would not want to be in the Legion of Doom right now. And he like tries to open the door for Demolition, but he just gets slammed in the face. Harsh. Yeah.
Oof.
Well, Mean Gene is with Sensational Sherri, who has removed the Psychosis mask, and she now kind of looks like a missing member of like Kiss. Or wait, maybe they should replace Crush with her in Demolition.
Oh,
'Cause she
that's a
would fit
good
in.
idea.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, so Sherri's gloating because she's so intimidating that her opponent didn't even show up. And Gene mentions how there were earlier sightings of Sapphire, but Sherri goes, "What is she, a UFO?" That was gold. That was freaking gold. It made me laugh out loud. So Sherri then goes manic, talking about Sapphire being missing, and Gene says he's going to go look for Sapphire himself. I think he just wanted to get away from fake Psychosis.
Yeah, probably.
All right, if you've made it here, hit another couple of 30-second forward thingies, buttons. So we get a quick view of the SummerSlam. Who is Summer Sam? That's a new wrestler coming up. SummerSlam logo. And back to Mean Gene. And I guess he didn't look for Sapphire very long because he was gone and now he's back real quick in about 5 seconds. He lets us know what other matches are coming up, and including letting us know that Brother Love is getting an award. And Lord, and they say our generation is bad about participation trophies because I don't know what he's getting an award for.
Oh, that will be a happening.
All right, so this is where it gets stupid. If it wasn't stupid.
Oh,
already.
this where? Oh,
this is where.
I'm glad we're finally there.
Yes. So, oh God, I don't even want to talk about this. Can I just skip this page? Mean Gene mentions that the upcoming match between Jake the Snake and Bad News Brown, he just mentions it. And he says that earlier in the day, they got a sneak peek in Bad News Brown's dressing room to see the 200 pounds of Harlem sewer rats that he brought. And they cut to this very quick shot of a possum. It is a possum, like one tiny possum in a cage, but it's like looking mad and its teeth are showing. It's like, but like, what? And then they just go right back to Gene. I guess they were hoping no one would notice that's not a rat and it's a possum.
And it was supposed to be 200 pounds of sewer rats. So are they trying to say that's a 200-pound possum?
And like, I'm pretty sure they like had no possum on site at any time. I think they just had like, it was like a clip they just bought from somewhere, from like an animal show, put that clip in because we don't see the possum again or the rats or anything. Oh my gosh. So they quickly go back to Gene, hoping no one would notice. And then he shows the snake, Damien, quote, relaxing in the shower. And sure enough, we see the snake with his mouth wide open, hanging out in the shower where the water's running. And I'm like, can you imagine not knowing that he was in there and just like walking into that shower and you're like naked? Like, I mean, especially you, Justin, you would die.
Yeah, I saw that image of that snake in that shower with its mouth wide open, and like my shit would have just like sucked all up into my stomach. I would have been I would have been terrified. Well, Damien, just watching on TV, that was ugly.
I know. Well, Damien being in there, he's gonna make all the wrestlers feel pretty inadequate. Ayo, Waylo, Big Boss Man. We'll get back to that snake and possum thing later. So, Big Boss Man, he joins Mean Gene. Only I feel like he's not so big anymore. Like he's getting pretty trim. Yeah. He's looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked real good, but he's apparently going to be the special ref in the Jake the Snake versus Bad News Brown match. And he declares that he isn't afraid of snakes or sewer rats, but is he afraid of possums? That's what I
see. That we should have covered that. That should have been question number 1 from Gene.
I mean, I think possums are like a thing in Texas, but I've never seen one in person. I don't think so either. I don't know. I know there's a thing because there's a place called Possum Kingdom. And if there's no possums in Possum Kingdom, then I'm just done. But Sean Mooney. I mean,
there's no Disney's in Disney World.
Oh.
I mean,
that really got me thinking. Like, I got real quiet. I was like, yes, there is. Yes, there is. And no, I couldn't get it. Whatever, leave me alone. Sean Mooney. He's with Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Nikolai Volkov, who are instantly just yelling, ho! And Nikolai is apparently a good guy now, as he is holding an American flag because apparently tensions had eased with the Soviet Union. I'm like, is it still the Soviet Union or have we moved to Russia now? I'm confused. But Hacksaw gave him the flag and said he now considers him a neighbor, a friend, and a brother. And Volkov says that he loves this country and says Duggan is his idol. And they're going to do something to the Orient Express. I assume beat them. I have no idea what Nikolai Volkov said.
It was hard to understand. One of the things I could understand was Nikolai saying that they are facing the Orient Express, but he and Hacksaw are the American Express and don't leave home without it. 90s advertising slogans. I feel like there are no famous advertising slogans these days.
No, I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head is "Stay thirsty, my friends." The Dos Equis old man.
Like the beer. Yeah, I don't know. It's like everything had like its slogan back then, and now it's just not a thing.
Well, Mark and I were talking about how no one quotes movies anymore. Like our generation will quote old movies, but there's not new movies coming out that people are quoting.
There's not new movies worth quoting.
No,
Like,
I agree.
It's all just blah.
I know. And I think maybe I'm like going way off on a tangent. Like we're so overwhelmed with information like on the internet now that we don't focus on things enough to memorize things anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, didn't know what Nikolai said, so thank you for clearing that up. But Hacksaw is just making funny faces throughout this whole thing. He's like, and he's thinking on it, and like it's just so funny. But they end the segment with a it's very funny. Jesus, how many back-to-back interviews are we going to do? Okay.
A lot.
Mean Gene is with Earthquake, Dino Bravo, and Jimmy Hart. Earthquake talks about how last time he went with Hogan was carried out on a stretcher. And Earthquake, he's driving me nuts. He was bouncing throughout this whole thing, which was very distracting. He's just bouncing and walking.
I'm actually not sure what was threatening to come out more, his Canadian accent or his balls.
Oh, those things were way out. They had no chance of surviving that little mini quake going on in that promo.
Remember, it's the aftercock.
Oh, stop it. Ew. Ew. I'm quitting the show. At least he was in rhythm, though. At least he had a rhythm going.
You got to respect that.
Yeah. But he says Hogan is foolish to step in the ring with him. And Dino Bravo, I just see him as the guy, Sonny from Greece now, because he looks old. Dino
Sonny
Bravo,
Latieri.
Yes, that is the name. Didn't you play Sonny Latieri in Greece? In like high school?
I think so. I think so.
You did. And you were on stage with Jackson Rathbone, who is a Twilight vampire.
And who is also a Razzie winner.
He is? Didn't know that. He's like doing the con circuit now. And I was like, would that be weird if like I just walked in and was like, hey, what's up? I'm not going to pay you because like I've known you for forever. But anyway, bro, I don't even know where I am. See, I'm losing focus just talking about these interviews. Can you imagine me actually watching these?
Yeah.
Anyway, Dino Bravo says anyone would be stupid to step into Hogan's corner, especially Big Boss Man. And Jimmy Hart says for the first time in WWF history, there will be 2 stretchers ringside. Gasp. Woo. One more, guys. Sean Mooney is with Jake the Snake, and he asks them if he's afraid of sewer rats. And thankfully, Jake gives us our normal break from the loud yelling, and he is his chill self. And he's using Damien's head as like a microphone. Did you catch that? It was kind of funny. And he says that Damien is hungry, so he's not afraid of the rats. So, like, is it snake versus possum or snake versus rat? And why is he using him as a microphone?
I lost all attention about halfway through all of this and just went, stop talking. It's a wrestling show.
I know. And like you were in the process of moving. So I was like, I have to do all of this. Justin has no time. And I was just like, oh my God, can I like get AI to summarize this for me?
That would be interesting. You know what? AI should just write our script for this show.
Oh, AI wouldn't be near as funny as us.
Well, it's not hard. Let's get to the next match. It's a singles match, the one we just talked about, with special referee Big Boss Man Bad News Brown versus Jake the Snake Roberts. Both these guys last seen WrestleMania 6, and we mentioned earlier Bad News Brown, the oldest on the show, at 46 years old.
Definitely doesn't look it, but Bad News Brown, he's already in the ring with his quote box of rats. And then oddly enough, Hangman Adam Page's music hit and Jake the Snake came out. It was weird.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's so dumb because you remember a few years ago when WWE was like really bad and Eric Rowan had that cage that he carried around everywhere. And then we finally saw what was in it. And it was a gigantic fake Halloween spider.
Yes, I do remember this.
That's what this reminded me of, was like, you're carrying this cage down to the ring. It had a possum in it earlier. It's probably empty now. Stop.
Yeah, it just really, Well, the match gets started before our guest ref, Big Boss Man, even gets out to the ring. And it's funny, he's not even in ref gear. Like, he's just in his regular mall cop gear. And so, like, if you just happen to tune in or be a new fan, like, this would be very confusing.
Yeah, but Boss Man finally has his music, the Hard Time song. I loved it. I was like, I'm a kid again. Here we go.
It's weird he got music when he's a ref.
Yeah,
like Bad News Brown didn't, and he's in the match, but Big Boss Man did.
That is weird. But you know what? Come to think of it, maybe all referees should have a nightstick and handcuffs. Like,
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. And then afterwards, you could sell it to Demolition because, you know,
Hell
into
yeah.
that.
Save them some money. They don't have to go to the
Yeah.
sex shop because you couldn't order online back then.
Right.
All right, we got another Roddyism.
Oh boy.
Boy, so Roddy says, "You notice Bad News has his head oiled?" And Vince says, "No." And he says, "Yep, oily head. He had Arabs chasing him." What? Who thought it was a good idea to let Roddy on commentary? Who decided this? Vince?
I have no idea. I don't know. Jesse, what have you done?
Like, I know he was saying something kind of racist, but I still don't even understand the reference. Like, there's oil in the Middle East. Is that what we're getting at?
I think that's what it is. I think that's what he was getting at. But boy, that's a long walk to the store. Yeah. I don't know. But, you know, this match, I mean, it's fine and all, but it feels like anybody ever cared about was just seeing the snake.
Yeah.
Which is, it's kind of like lucky for these guys, right? Like they can have a total stinker of a match. And as long as the snake comes out at some point, crowd's gonna be like, yay.
Well, Bad News and Jake are outside of the ring, and Bad News grabs a chair and just whacks Jake. So Big Boss Man calls the match and ends it.
But it was dumb because Bad News already used the chair once earlier in the match, right there in front of Boss Man, and nothing happened. And then like minutes later, he does it again, and now it's a problem. Like it's just
Okay, I thought I saw that happen, and then I like questioned it because I was like, no, he would have been thrown out or, you know, DQ'd. But man, after the match, Bad News grabs the snake bag, and he does a leg drop on it.
Well, almost. Boss Man like pulled it away at the last second.
Kind of, but like, what the hell? I'm so over the abuse the snake gets. Like, even Jake like manhandles him, and like Big Boss Man tries to defend Damien, but Bad News attacks him. But at least Big Boss Man has the snake's interest in mind. That's
true. That's true. He's not only a boss man and a prison guard, he's a herpetologist.
A herpetologist?
Is that the right word?
That's when you study harpies.
Oh. Huh. Well, that doesn't sound like very much fun at all.
I'm just kidding.
I don't think you go to work looking forward to that job. Anyway, Jake Roberts wins the match via disqualification in 4 minutes and 44 seconds. How do you feel about this one so far?
It was fine. I feel like Bad News, he gets a lot of really like good matches on these big shows, but he never really has much of a story with him. Like the biggest story we've had is that he's from Harlem and now he has rats. But like we don't really get a tie-in, like no character work or anything. I don't know. I mean, it was a good match. Like I'm not harping on these dudes. It was just kind of pointless, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree. Well, here we go. Okay. After the same promo with the same phone number for WrestleMania 7 tickets, Mean Gene is backstage with Demolition, and they are pissed. They call the Legion of Doom imposters. They threaten LOD. They threaten the Hart Foundation. They threaten to, wait just 1 minute, they reapplied their face paint. They went through a 2 out of 3 falls match, went backstage, slammed the door, argued for 30 minutes, and then took time to wipe their face paint clean and reapply said face paint so they could bitch to Mean Gene about losing the belts. Come on, man.
Justin, they had a rainbow trim around their dressing room. Their makeup is important to them. It's a thing. They wear glitter. They have to look good. I understand it, man. If I were like a wrestler and my makeup looked like hell, and then I was like, oh, I gotta go be back on camera. I got time. I'm fixing that makeup. I get it, man.
Back to the ring, and it is Brother Love time.
No, I'm leaving.
Unfortunately, some of the red makeup from Brother Love's gobbler down here got on his white tie, but that's not the worst of it. Oh, no. Brother Love introduces Sergeant Slaughter, who I can't believe we haven't seen before on one of these. Like, it's just weird, but I guess for the longest time he was in the AWA, and it never really worked out.
Yeah.
But Slaughter is actually a heel here, and he says he's here for 2 reasons. One, to present the Sergeant Slaughter Great American Award to Brother Love, and he puts the medal around Brother Love's neck. you got to wonder if Conrad Thompson owns that medal these days. Just a thought. But the other reason Slaughter is here is to declare war on Nikolai Volkov. Like, huh? Like, what did... Anyway.
He's a good guy now.
Yeah, like Slaughter says Volkov is too chicken to declare war. I don't think he's too chicken. I think he just didn't know he was in a fight, much less a war.
Yeah, he's just happy with Jim Duggan. What the hell?
I know, like, what did he do? But Slaughter says Nikolai will be weak and soft, just like America, and that if war broke out in the Middle East tomorrow, Saddam Hussein would kick our boys' butts. Just like I'm going to kick Nikolai's butt. Then he follows it up with his catchphrase, and that's in order. But like, what was in order? Like, there was no order. You didn't give us anything to do. You just said that's what are we supposed to do? What's the order?
Ordering himself to kick his butt?
I have no idea. It's like he ran out of stuff to say and just finished it with that. I don't know. Yeah, fortunately, that's one of the shortest brother love segments we've ever seen.
That's true.
Sean Mooney is in a different fake locker room. This one has pink lockers that are too skinny to fit anything in. I'd make a joke about this being the women's locker room, but let's be honest, there's no need for a women's locker room at this time in the WWF.
Hey, Sherri had to get ready somewhere.
Broom closet. Mr. Fuji is here with the Orient Express. Fuji refers to Jim Duggan as the one with the one crossed eye. And says that after they get done with him, he'll have two crossed eyes. And as for Nikolai, they'll kick him so hard that he'll have a red spot on his forehead, just like Gorbachev. So, as much as we would like to hear more of this fantastic chicanery, Mooney says we have breaking news from Mean Gene. And then Mean Gene is standing outside a locker room. Sapphire rushes past Gene, enters the locker room, slams the door, completely ignoring Gene. And just once, I'd love to hear Gene just go off on some of these people. Like Sapphire blows him off and slams the door and he's like, whoa, what a bitch, or something, just once in that fantastic Mean Gene voice. But Gene says that at least we know that Sapphire is safe and sound and we can breathe a sigh of relief, and I can breathe so we can go to the next match.
Oh, Lord, please. But I mean, did we ever think Sapphire wasn't safe? I mean, she made it to the building. We knew she was somewhere in the building.
I wasn't that concerned about her, to be honest.
Well, this is just an old plain tag team match. No stakes involved, but it is our boy Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Nikolai Volkov versus the Orient Express with Mr. Fuji. We saw all these dudes on WrestleMania 6. Nikolai Volkov, he's 42 in this match. He's getting up there. Interesting.
Hey, wait, whoa. Excuse me?
For this time in wrestling, because now that's like the average age of like all of the stars. That's like Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, everyone. But now, like back then, that's like 64 in 20-25 years.
All right. I'll keep that in mind.
I'm still in my lower 30s. Anyway.
Lower, please. Go on.
I am under 35, therefore it is lower.
Okay, fine.
Okay, well, this is a case of real life stuff influencing creative decisions. So for a long time, Nikolai was half of the Bolsheviks with Boris Zhukov. But in March of this year, Lithuania, where Nikolai is from, man, I just thought he was from Minnesota faking an accent like all the others.
Well, that too.
Well, Lithuania, that's a new one. Lithuania. That's really hard to say like 3 times. Left the Soviet Union, which forced the Bolsheviks to break up. And this also turned Nikolai into a good guy, causing Jim Duggan to gift him with his own American flag. So, I know. So Hacksaw and Nikolai, they come out to Stars and Stripes Forever, which is that ding, 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 ding. And honestly, it just reminds me of the Carousel of Progress, the best ride in the entire world at the Magic Kingdom, which no one respects the ride like I do.
Yeah, and Orient Express comes out to generic Japanese wrestler number 33 from a pile of cassette tapes that they found on the side of the road.
I don't even know how the song went, but I can hear it in my head right now. The ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
And it was also probably playing in like every Asian restaurant you grew up in Texas.
Probably so, yeah.
Yep. So, oh gosh.
You ever get a massage? You probably heard it there. Yeah.
They think, Justin, that it is a good idea to have Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Nikolai sing God Bless America on microphones in the middle of the ring. And like, they're such bad singers that the crowd like started to boo them at first.
I know. And then like Duggan pulls out a pitch pipe first, and he apparently didn't even know what one of those does because this was so bad. It's like we went to karaoke night at a frat bar, and then like the foreign exchange student gets pulled on stage. This is my buddy Nikolai, and he's gonna sing our song with us. Okay.
But to be fair, Nikolai was the better singer of the two.
He was, yeah.
Jim just picked one pitch and sang that same pitch the entire time.
Well, you know how like tag team partners, they stand in opposite corners, right? While they're waiting to be tagged in. Well, there was some confusion here because Sato and Hacksaw are both on the left side of our screen waiting to be tagged in. And I don't know, maybe Duggan got his eyes crossed. Wires crossed. Wires crossed. Sorry.
Oh, gosh. Well, boys, thank you for the patriotic moment. But other than that, this match was pointless because Jim Duggan and Nikolai Volkov won that match in 3 minutes and 22 seconds. I'll always be happy to see Jim Duggan because he's just so funny. But this match, along with the Tito Santana Warlord match, just didn't need to happen.
Yeah, no point in it. Orient Express showed up, got their paycheck to get their ass kicked. That was it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, two things before we move on. First, they finally played Duggan's music after the match, which made me so happy. Now, granted, it's basically Big John Studd's music with a ho at the beginning, but still, that made me very happy. Also, in the post-match crowd shots, there's a kid, maybe like 4 years old, dressed as the Ultimate Warrior. And I don't mean he just had face paint on. This kid has the face paint. He has streamers tied around his arms, and he's standing in his chair in nothing but his underoos. It's like I traveled back to 1990 myself and went to the show.
Pretty much, yeah. And I was thinking, like, that kid's got to be a wrestler now. He's got to be. Like, right. He's somebody. At this point.
Kid, now Orange Cassidy, oddly enough. It's crazy.
I was going to say MJF, but we know he's too young. He doesn't come for another, like, 15 years. But
right.
All right, so we're going back again. Dusty Rhodes and Mean Gene are outside of Sapphire's dressing room, knocking frantically, and she's not answering the door, and Dusty's word sick. And he decides he will have to do the match alone and leaves. And so we see Dusty entering the arena, but then we just go back to Sean Mooney. I thought it was a miracle, and we were going to see the match just go. And then
no, you're not that lucky.
So then we get back to Sean, who is now on a ladder because Macho Man Randy Savage is like up on this platform. And so Sean's trying to reach him. So Randy says that Sapphire must not want to be associated with a common man for the rest of her life. Like, man, I didn't realize they were in such a committed relationship, the rest of her life. Wow. Well, Randy mentions that Ben Franklin must be doing somersaults in his grave. What?
Something about them being in Philadelphia and patriotic. I don't know. Founding fathers, American dream. I don't know.
Okay. Well, he says he's going to lay him to rest in the squared circle, and he tells Sherri to lead the way to the ring while Sean just kind of awkwardly like flails his arms as if he's pretending to fall, but he's not. It was goofy.
Go figure. Well, we go on into the match. It is Dusty Rhodes versus Macho King Randy Savage with Queen Sherri. Saw both of these guys last at WrestleMania 6. Interesting ages here because we were just talking about how it's kind of, they're getting older, and that wasn't necessarily the trend back then. Randy Savage, 37 years old in this match. Dusty Rhodes, 44 years old in this match. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, and Randy gets carried out by like 4 guys on this like platform thing, and it looks like it's like a throne that was built for like a pharaoh in a high school play. Like it's a very poor theater program in a high school. Like it was a little bit cardboardy.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Remember a while back, we actually saw this same thing. I think maybe it was for like Harley Race or somebody. And the 4 guys were like random jobbers walking down in their trunks. It's like the same thing here. Like they were wearing as much clothing as that warrior kid in the crowd.
Hey, but the kid looked way cooler. He had the bands
Yeah.
around his arms.
Right?
So they get into the ring, about to start. Then we hear a familiar voice on the microphone. This was exciting. Ted DiBiase. And he says, money can buy anything, and reveals that he has purchased Sapphire. And like, what? And I'm like, whatever. She just thinks Virgil's hot. Like, I'm so disappointed in her. Like, she even has a fur coat on. Like, what a sellout, right? And like, let's not forget the duffel bag full of money and fancy jewelry. I just thought bigger of her. I thought she was a better person than this.
Hey, it's like DiBiase says, everybody has a price for the $1 million man.
She shouldn't have.
Mm.
Oh, well, Sherri's over there. And I realized with all that silver all over her, like silver gear, silver makeup, she looks like a baked potato.
Well, Roddy asked if those stripes are face paint or stretch marks.
I mean, honestly, I probably had the same question because I have no idea what her makeup was doing. Like, I didn't know.
Like, why does she have like that thin little mustache painted on? She looks like a hot air balloon salesman, or like one of those guys who like rides the bike with a huge wheel in the front and a tiny wheel in the back. Like,
So-
good day, good sir.
I think it was supposed to be a cat mouth because it had the whiskers, but why is her real mouth not the mouth? Why is there another mouth that looks like a mustache?
I don't know. Well, and speaking of Sherri, she uses her knee to choke Dusty out. In fact, she choked him so hard his birthmark changed colors. It was crazy to see. You should have.
That's stupid. Hey, tell them what you saw at Target the other day that you sent me a picture of. That was cool.
Oh yeah, there was a Dusty Rhodes action figure, and it had the birthmark on him, and it like wasn't just painted on, like it actually like extended out a little bit from his belly.
Did it change colors when you like got it cold or hot or something?
It's like a hyper color action figure.
That was so dang funny. Birthmark changed colors. Well, Randy hit Dusty with Sherri's purse, I guess it was, and knocked him out. And this all happened so fast. Like, why was this match so short?
I don't know. Maybe they knew what was coming, and they needed to make up some time or something. It was kind of disappointing after all the buildup of this story. But Randy Savage wins the match in just 2 minutes and 15 seconds. A lot of drama in those 2 minutes.
I was just disappointed. This was the match. Any Dusty match is the one I'm going to look forward to the most. And I was just like, is this the shortest match on the show? I think it is. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Sean Mooney is backstage waiting next to a Cadillac limo as Ted DiBiase, Virgil, and Sapphire rush past him and into the car. And Ted is in the middle of saying that there's nothing that money can't buy and everybody has a price. But then Dusty comes hauling ass into the frame. And Ted dives into the car, which speeds off, narrowly escaping. I'll get in a moment, folks. Dusty's anger.
And his mother.
After that, Earthquake makes his entrance before we head backstage to Mean Gene with Hulk Hogan and the Big Boss Man. And Hogan remembers how it felt to have Earthquake crush him, and he remembers the support of the Hulkamaniacs. And then Boss Man talks about Earthquake's rights here in the U.S., forgetting that Earthquake is Canadian, so it doesn't really count. Then Hogan calls himself George Washington, chopping down a cherry tree with his 24-inch pythons and never telling a lie. And it's really all just downhill from there. So let's go to the first match of our double main event.
Yo, maybe I just went to public school in West Texas, but all these history references, I'm over them. I'm like, cool. We're in Pennsylvania. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get our singles match, Earthquake with Dino Bravo and Jimmy Hart by his side versus Hulk Hogan with Big Boss Man. Now, Justin, just about an hour before we started recording this, I saw that the natural disasters are being put into the Hall of Fame for WWE in 2025.
That's fantastic.
Obviously, but Earthquake did pass away about 20 years ago-ish, 15 years ago, but he's finally going into the Hall of Fame. So good for him.
That's awesome.
We obviously know who these dudes are. We last saw them on WrestleMania 6, but on an episode of WWF Superstars, Earthquake had attacked Hulk Hogan, putting Hogan out of action for 2 months. And in reality, Hogan was off filming his next movie, Suburban Commando, because you know that other movie that we watched was such a good one. He got another gig, right?
Dookie.
Dookie. I forgot. Okay, that actually was a good part. But when he returned, he immediately challenged Earthquake for this match.
Yeah. So now let me get this straight. Hogan is doing a long posing session before the match too. So awesome. And he also spit right in Earthquake's face. How does anybody cheer this man? Hogan is a heel.
He is. I don't know if you were watching your screen, but I was doing all the poses. I looked real cool.
I was not. I'm sorry.
Dang, I was real buff for it.
I'm sorry.
Well, geez, Roddy. He said, you know why Dino hangs around with Earthquake? It's like those so-so girls that hang around the fat girls to make themselves look better. And I'm like, quit giving away our secrets, Roddy. I'm just kidding. But I was like, oh man. Now, my next comment on this, only you West Texans will get it, but Earthquake's gear reminds me of a Taco Villa cup because it's like a turquoise singlet with like a red and yellow white band around it. And those are the Taco Villa colors, which is a local Mexican fast food place. I know it's Taco Villa, but you got to say it Villa when you live in Midland or people will be like, what? It's Villa.
Yeah. Well, this actually, I don't know if you knew, I mean, it's not just a singles match. It's actually a battle for the male pattern baldness championship. Big deal.
Big deal. I mean, I think Earthquake is a little balder actually at this point.
It's tight. I don't know. We'll see.
Did you know that like you can go to Turkey? Because like everyone jokes that MJF went to Turkey for hair transplants, but you go and it's like an all-inclusive resort. It's like a whole vacation and it's like a third of the cost of hair transplants in America, but you get like a 5-star hotel and like a personal like companion to help you like navigate Turkey. I was like, this is crazy. That's nuts.
You think as a bald man, I do not know these things.
Justin, you should go because it's like $1,500 plus flights.
I don't care that much. Like,
that's true.
Be a bald guy.
If I were bald, I would do it, but that's a different circumstance. So they're all outside the ring at one point, and Big Boss Man, he hits Earthquake. So like, how is that not a DQ? Because even Roddy brought it up. He was like, hey, shouldn't he be disqualified?
Yeah, this is so dumb. Again, like they even both got in the ring and hit double team moves on Earthquake. And then Earthquake and Dino are double teaming Hogan behind the referee's back. And Vince says, turn around, ref. Like, why? What does it matter? They've been double teaming right in front of the ref the entire time.
This show is stupid.
There's a lot of nonsensical stuff on here. Speaking of outside the ring, the table that they had put Bad News Brown's 200-pound possum on is still there. That table's just sitting there. And it kind of seems like something they would have taken away right after that match since it's literally butted right up to ringside. Just,
Well, Hogan picks up Earthquake, and I was like, no way he's going to do some big move. But nope, sure enough, no way. He goes straight down to the ground with Earthquake on top of him. It just happened.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Jimmy Hart here, by the way, who has another one of his custom airbrush jackets on. There's a huge picture of Earthquake on the back with a full head of hair. So like I first saw it and I was like, why does Jimmy Hart have Nick Comoroto on the back of his jacket? That's weird.
I heard that he's not getting renewed at AEW. I always hate to hear people like losing their jobs. And him and Abaddon. I'm like, Abaddon? I mean, I know she like has one gimmick and that's it, but I liked her.
Yeah.
Ugh. So this match reminded me how much I hate the bear hug. Like, have I mentioned this lately? Because I feel like for the majority, it's been happening less because the powers that be, they realize it's boring to watch, but somehow it made its way back into this match.
It's always in the Hogan match. Like Hogan just needs a hug, apparently, because he's always taking the bear hug. But hold up. How did Earl Hebner's shirt get ripped?
It was Earthquake.
At first, like I thought it was just untucked, but then like it's completely ripped open on his left side. But it was even funnier, like Earl trying to tuck in what was left of it. But how did that happen?
I think it was Earthquake grabbed it and ripped it. It
On
was either
purpose?
yeah, it was either him or Big Boss Man. I can't remember. It was one of the big guys. I remember
Okay.
seeing it though. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was like, is that not against the rules? Like but Earthquake hit an earthquake splash. And after Hogan is laying there like twitching and spasming, and I'm like laughing, but then I'm like, wait, no, that is Hogan. We do not laugh at him. He is not funny. But it was kind of funny.
Yeah. No, not
Like,
not allowed. Not allowed.
Well, why does Roddy keep calling Earthquake the warthog?
Hakuna Matata.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about when it's like, when I was a young warthog. That's all I think about. Because who's ever actually seen a warthog in person?
Not that I can remember. No.
I've seen like a javelina. There was one of those downtown one time. They're freaky looking. And I was like, how is there a giant pig downtown? But Hogan goes for the pin and Jimmy Hart jumps on his back to try to interrupt it. And Roddy says, that's like getting bit by a mosquito. And I thought it was funny because it is, because Jimmy Hart's so small. It's funny, but it was a really fun ending to the match. Hulk Hogan won this match via countout in 13 minutes and 16 seconds, but it happened because Earthquake holds Hogan for Jimmy Hart to hit him with the megaphone, but Hogan moves last second and Earthquake gets knocked out, counted out.
Yeah. And then like Hogan slams Earthquake through the table that was conveniently left by the ring earlier. Well, he didn't really slam Earthquake through the table. He kind of touched Earthquake's back to the table, which then tipped over, leaving Earthquake to just kind of slide off. Anyway, Hogan slides back in the ring, beats the count. Yay.
What'd you think of that co-main event?
Like, again, it's just it's another Hogan match, and I get that like it was the thing at the time, and they didn't have to do much to like make the crowd happy. But come on, man.
Hey, man, I agree with you 100%. And like, I like how this episode's gonna be super long, not because it was a long show, but because of all the interviews. Because guess what we're doing, Justin? Well, but first, Earthquake isn't done with Hogan yet. So Earthquake gets back in the ring and he lifts up Hogan in like this chokehold. And like, I don't know if he panics or what, but Big Boss Man decided he should grab a step ladder and whack Dino with it. And then he whacks Earthquake over and over with this ladder. And there are these giant welts. However, like, I'm not sure those would have appeared so quickly. I was like, is that from something else? Like, maybe not. I mean, they do look nasty and painful.
I think they were real.
But like they were just so dark so instantly.
Yeah.
Anyway. Meanwhile, Earthquake and Co. They're heading back to the back. They're exiting, and Hogan poses to his music for forever while Big Boss Man stands there awkwardly watching for like 4 minutes.
This was like extra long posing, like ridiculously long posing. And this wasn't even the end of the show.
I know. And I was like, so Randy and Dusty got a 2-minute match for this?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on now. Well, Sean Mooney, oh God, I don't think I've ever said Sean Mooney so much in my life. It's with Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan backstage.
Yeah, hey, Rude cut his hair. No more mullet.
It looks good. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So Rick Rude compares himself to Rocky Balboa, but says that's Hollywood and this is real life. But art does imitate life. Imitate. If my name would have been Emma, my name would be Imitate.
I mean, me too.
But Emma wouldn't make sense for you.
What sexist?
You could be Anna, Annotate.
Okay, I'll be Anna. And then we'll have Elsa, and it'll be a whole Disney thing.
Elsa-tate? That's not a verb.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Move on.
I was like, what?
I don't know.
Anyway, Rick says Ultimate Warrior isn't used to cage matches and there's nowhere for him to run and hide. Bobby Heenan states that Rick Rude has beat Warrior before and he'll do it again. And he lets us know that you can either pin or escape the cage to win. And there will be no rematch and no sequels. And I guess that was like a Rocky joke. Whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
So much talking on this show. Mean Gene is backstage with Dusty Rhodes again, which kind of weird, just because we've already had so much Dusty Rhodes has been shown backstage for longer on this show than he was even in the ring. And I'm not even joking on that. But Gene tells him that his sad walk down the tunnel was one of the saddest things I've ever seen, quote, quote. And Dusty says the WWF is built on emotion. And he says it's fine that Sapphire took the money, but he offered up his innocence to her. And I'm like, excuse me? Does that mean what I think that means? What? Anyway, she paid him back with scorn. And he says that with America's support, he's getting mad and going bad. And he's coming after Ted DiBiase. So I think this should be an excellent feud if that's where it's going.
Oh, yeah. It'd be entertaining as hell to see those two against each other.
Oh, yeah. So we go back to the arena and, oh, dang, it's that awkward little British man, Lord Alfred Humperdinck, or no,
Nope.
Alfred Hayes. You know what I'm talking about. Well, he talks about the cage being built, and that's about it. But he does use the word erector.
Oh, well. That just changes everything. Actually, it was funny because Alfred says, the cage serves two purposes. One, to keep the men in the ring. Now let's go to Mean Gene. He never says number two.
I know. I was like, did he do that to be funny? I couldn't tell.
No.
Oh, Lordy. Well, Mean Gene, he's earned his paycheck because he is there backstage again with Hulk Hogan. And Hogan just talks about how amazing he is. That's it. And then he says he's going surfing and he's going to fight sharks.
That's literally it. It was
That's
like,
all he said.
What?
Yep. Earthquake, Jimmy Hart, and Dino Bravo are now with Sean Mooney, and they're pointing out Earthquake's like super dark welts. Like, ouch, it looks painful. Like that amount of time passing, I could have seen those welts getting that dark. But anyway, Earthquake, he starts bouncing again, and he says this feud with Hogan is not over, and he's also going after Big Boss Man. Quote, anytime, anywhere. And Jimmy Hart tells Hogan to get earthquake insurance. They yell a lot, and then they exit.
Maybe Earthquake bounces a lot because he's trying to like cool off his chub rub, you know?
Ooh, maybe.
Like it's just, you gotta air that shit out, right? But I completely ignored what they were saying here because they are on the fake locker room set with the skinny lockers, so you couldn't fit anything in. But the camera is a little too far to the left, and you can see where the fake locker room ends and the real locker room begins. Like that tile wall just stops, and then there's a white room with a door right there.
Totally didn't notice that because I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, how many more interviews are there going to be? Oh gosh. Last one, y'all. Ultimate Warriors with Mean Gene. And because at this point, like, who hasn't been with Mean Gene? She's such a slut. But he's like snorting and snarling like a warthog a little bit. Ultimate Warrior, he does tell a funny joke. Okay. He comes on, he's like, and then he's like, hey, what does Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan have in common with the Liberty Bell? Again, history. And he says, one is cracked and the other is a ding dong. And I'm like, okay, that was kind of funny. Okay. That was at least you gave me a joke in this interview. All the other interviews were just like, I'm amazing. I'm going to win. But he's talking about the Declaration of Independence and his like right to be a champion, I guess.
Yeah. This is the rambling guy outside of the grocery store that your mom tells you, just don't look at him. Just keep walking. It's okay.
Or if you're our mom, it's go, go, go.
Well, let's finish the show off. What do you say? It's a steel cage match for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Rick Rude with Bobby Heenan versus our champion, the Ultimate Warrior. Last saw these guys on WrestleMania 6. Now, of course, this is a continuation of the feud that started at Royal Rumble 1989 with that horrific pose down. And this is also the third time we've seen this match on pay-per-view.
Dang, really? That's crazy. Well, when Rick Rude's music hit, something happened to like Vince's and the Fink's audio. Like suddenly they sounded like the teacher on Charlie Brown. It was like, wah, 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 wah. They were talking. I just have no idea.
It's that stupid dubbing of Rick Rude's real theme. Like every single time it happens, but like this time it was really bad. It completely drowned out everything.
Yeah, definitely. Like I didn't even realize it was Vince talking. I was like, what is that noise? Oh,
yeah. And it gets to the point where it's like, guys, just pay for the original music. Like, find out who you would need to pay and just do it.
Okay, so let's establish this. Rick Rude's music, that music that we hear every time, is that his actual music he came out to, or is that the cheap, no royalties version?
That's the cheap, no royalties version.
Okay. Because, Justin, I was watching SpongeBob yesterday, and okay, I've seen every episode. My husband has not, but he used to be like, that's a kid's show. But he has learned it is very funny in the sense that Ren and Stimpy was funny because there are jokes that adults get that you didn't get as a kid. So it's the Neptune spatula episode. Don't ask. So SpongeBob pulls the spatula out of the grease. He has to battle Neptune, but Neptune comes out And he thinks Larry the Lobster, who is a bodybuilder, pulled the spatula because he's so amazing, right? And so he goes over to Larry the Lobster and he's like, "Oh, it was you, wasn't it? Let's pose." And you hear Rick Rude's music, quote, quote, from Peacock starting. It's like, "Dun, dun, dun," and they have their claws or fins behind their head and they're like dancing and showing off their bodies Rick Rude style. And I was like, this is so bizarre. It is Rick Rude on SpongeBob right now.
I'm telling you, pro wrestling is everywhere.
It is. I'm going to send you the video. I tried to find it on YouTube, but like they're even like doing Rick Rude's moves and stuff. I'm like, someone was a fan because this is too weird. So
that's funny.
Neptune spatula. I think it's season 1, maybe season 2. It's crazy.
Huh.
But this cage looks really small, right? Like it looks short. Am I wrong?
No, I was thinking about that during, and I don't think it looks any shorter than like what it's looked before, but it does look kind of short. Yeah.
And see, I didn't know if it's because we had the Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher match in this big cage. And then right the next day we had Seth Rollins and CM Punk. And so are those cages just way bigger? And I was used to
think they are. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I was like, this cage looks so stupid tiny. It looks like a dog crate or something. But Rick gets on the mic and he called the crowd fat, out of shape Pennsylvania pissants. How rude.
And I loved how they immediately showed this guy in the crowd. And it's like, well, he might have a point.
Yeah.
He's pretty observant, that old Rick Rude. But Warrior runs out, climbs the cage, shakes it like really freaking hard. And then he like runs several laps around the ring. And I honestly wonder if he just couldn't find the door. So he's like, oh, I'll go around again.
Someone will open it eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But then Rude, this is another stupid, illogical thing. Rude is inside the ring at the top of the cage. Right. And then Warrior climbs the cage on the outside and starts punching Rude, and the bell rings to start the match.
Yeah.
But Warrior wasn't even in the cage when the bell rang to start the match. So why didn't Warrior just drop down to the floor?
All right.
And win?
That's the next point I had. Okay, so Rick Rude could have won at one point very easily by just walking out the door. But I guess for story, he wanted to punish the Warrior some more. And so like Bobby's got the door wide open, but he's like, no, I'm going to climb to the top of the cage instead and land on Warrior again. And Bobby Heenan's pissed. I was pissed. I was like, because I mean, it was like probably 4 minutes into the match. And I was like, hey, it's been short matches. This makes sense. But nope.
Yeah, this is just, Well, Piper brings up a good point. He says, just tie Warrior streamers to the cage and then walk out. I was like, that would be brilliant.
I mean, it would be, but I feel like Warrior's strong enough to just rip through, Oh God. Okay. So Bobby had the door open and then nope. At this point, I had to not look. Warrior's crawling toward the door, okay? And he's got a giant green snot rocket hanging out of his nose. And did you not see this? I was about to vomit. I think Vince or Roddy said, oh my God, look at that snot coming out of his nose. But it's like jiggling. It's this long. It's like 2 inches long hanging out. I felt nauseous for like 10 minutes. I stopped.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh my God. It was like probably for a good 5 seconds, he's crawling toward that door and it's just jiggling it. And I was about to, I can't even talk about it. It was so gross. It was like Ultimate Warrior had a horrible sinus infection. You know, those sinus infections where it's all green. It's like he had that and wrestled through it and it was coming out. Oh,
yeah, it's like when you're shooting out those sticky hands that you get from the quarter machines out of your nose. Yeah.
My eyes are watering right now because I'm about to throw up talking about it. So let's move on. Whoop, 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 whoop. Full butt alert. There's not even a butt crack alert. This is a full butt alert.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Rude, he got his pants pulled down as he was trying to escape the cage. And I think he just wanted to show off his butt. But man, it looked like he had white underwear on with that tan line.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But like the rest of him is like so tanned and defined. He looks like Inside Out boy.
Yeah, you're right. It's true. And oh God, I just wanted to see that butt after that snot because I needed something to distract me. It was terrible. Well, Warrior pulls Bobby Heenan into the ring and beats him up quite a bit. And I like seeing Bobby in the ring again. It made me happy.
Yeah. It's kind of a fun little thing when it happens again, here and there. But Warrior hits a press slam and goes to climb over the top of the cage instead of just, walking out the door that was right next to him. But Justin, that would be anticlimactic. Yeah. So was Warrior slamming Rude, then going, okay, and climbing over the top with like zero hustle or drama.
Yeah.
That ends the match. Ultimate Warrior wins the match, retains his championship in just 10 minutes and 5 seconds. Vince plugged Survivor Series. We're out. What'd you think about the final match, the main event? What'd you think about the show in general?
The final match, it was fine. Again, I just watched that Osprey versus Fletcher. And then CM Punk and Seth, it was like fine. But like the Osprey Fletcher one was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So I think after watching both of those, I was like, what was the point of the cage? Like they didn't even do anything. So it was fine. I'm sure it was way more impressive back then. But as for the entire show, I think I jinxed us, Justin, because I think just last week, or not last week, so we didn't have an episode, but on our last episode, I said, I'm so glad they've gotten away from all of the pointless backstage segments in which someone just says, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. I said that. And then I jinxed us to give us a show with only that. And I kept complaining to you all week. I was like, this show has so many interviews, so much talking. And the reason why I had a problem with it is because it didn't advance any kind of story. The only one was the Dusty Sapphire Sherri. That whole thing, like it made sense for the continuation of the story throughout. But other than that, it was just like, I'm going to win. I'm mad at Demolition. I'm mad at this person. And so as someone who, I mean, it's hard because I think I would have really liked the show if there was storyline, because I enjoy the storyline of wrestling probably even more than I like watching the actual wrestling itself. But as for this show, I wanted more in-ring action versus just backstage back-to-back interviews. This show, it killed me, man. It killed my attention span. And then that snot rocket was just the end. Oh God, it was so bad. But it wasn't a bad show. Survivor Series, that last one we watched, that was harder, but I was not a fan of all of the really short matches that I wanted to see be longer. Yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling. What do you think?
It seems like we're getting to the point where all of these pay-per-views, of course, WWF only has 4 pay-per-views a year at this point, and Vince is trying to shove as many wrestlers onto each pay-per-view as possible. The Royal Rumble has them by the very nature of the Royal Rumble, right?
Right.
But the Survivor Series, it's teams of 4-on-4 all night long. You got all those guys. And then on WrestleMania and SummerSlam, he's shoving so many matches on here. And it's just like, I need variety, some breathing room, something. And then filling it up with all the interviews and talking, it was too much. It was too much. And there's a happy medium to be found. And they will find it, of course.
Yeah.
But this show was not the hardest to get through. I did appreciate the shorter match times. That was great. That was fantastic.
The only one I didn't like was that Dusty Randy Savage match, which I'm like, you could have cut the Tito Santana match and added those 3 minutes over here.
Yeah.
Or you could have cut Hogan's posing. Like, I don't know. That just really disappointed me. I almost thought someone got injured because I was like, why would they cut that match short? Like, that's like cutting like CM Punk versus Roman Reigns short. Like, that's so weird, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was fine. I'm just, I just, at this point in our wrestling history, I'm ready to go back to WCW because I'm enjoying those shows more. Oh yeah. What do you think?
It's because it's also a weird era for WCW because it's the Jim Herd era. So things are kind of weird there too, so we're about to get into some interesting stuff in both companies.
Well, let's talk about what happened after this pay-per-view. So we kind of talked about it before, but Shawn Michaels was dealing with a legit knee injury heading into this show. So he took the next few months off to have surgery and recover, and he was still planning that NXT thing. The Texas Tornado would hold on to the Intercontinental Championship until November 19th, which was just a few days before Survivor Series. However, the title change didn't air on television until December, meaning that Mr. Perfect was technically the IC champion at the pay-per-view without the crowd even knowing it. Like, weird, right?
Kind of weird.
Yeah. So Dusty Rhodes would go on to feud with Ted DiBiase, including the addition of a face that is very familiar to current fans. Who is it?
That could be fun.
Spill, Justin.
I gotta go.
You suck. By the time Survivor Series rolls around, Rick Rude had left the company over a pay dispute. He's going to hang out with Jesse Ventura.
Back up in Minnesota, the two of them just drinking beer and spitting it back out because it's got calories.
So will you answer me this? Do we see Rick Rude show up in WCW?
We do.
Okay, I was like, or do we just never see him again? Okay, good. So Ultimate Warrior continued his championship reign right into a feud with the newly heel Sergeant Slaughter. Now, when I was a kid, I got Sergeant Slaughter and Big Boss Man real confused, which is funny. But Justin, before we go, we need our last round of
Wrestle Stats.
Wrestle Stats. And here we go. Only talking about talent who will appear in a match again on pay-per-view. So the people who we won't see again, they're out of the running on this. So this was the final pay-per-view match for one guy who we saw in this show, Bad News Brown. Yeah, he's going away. He leaves us with a record of 2 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws for a total of 9 matches that we saw him in on pay-per-view. So adios to Bad News Brown. The most matches on Wrestle Recap, that's Randy Savage. He's been there at the top for a while, but he just added another one. 21 Randy Savage matches we've seen so far. He also has the most wins with 13 wins on Wrestle Recap, but the most losses, a guy who lost on this show, Tito Santana, with 11 losses on pay-per-view. Let's talk about rematches. Out of the 283 matches we've watched on Wrestle Recap, 20 of them have been rematches. That's up from last week's percentage to 7.07%. And out of those 283 matches, 91 of them have been title matches. That's up from last week to 32.16%. And hey, if you dig those Wrestle Stats, you're going to dig the modern day Wrestle Stats too. Over at WrestleStats.com and Wrestle Stats on X, on Blue Sky, on Threads, on Instagram, and on TikTok. I've been off for a couple of weeks because I've been moving, but it's coming back. By the time you hear this, we're going to be rolling again. Where can they find you, Michelle?
Well, before we move on to where they can find me, I just want to know, does the Wrestle Stats guy know how many interviews were in the show? I'm just kidding.
I would love to know.
I bet it's at least 15, if not more.
Yeah, probably so.
Okay, well, you can find me at Michelle Tater. Talk to me on X, Twitter, the Blue Sky, all that stuff. I have it, and I will respond there. I'm just on Twitter like all day long because, I have no life. But you can also talk to us both at Wrestle Recap on all the social media platforms. We love to talk wrestling. If you want to talk to me, I've been talking a lot of paranormal this week with the whole Aaron Goodwin thing. Did you hear about that? That was wild.
Yeah, I saw something about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't know who Aaron Goodwin is, he's from Ghost Adventures. Go Google his name. That's been kind of crazy this week. But Justin, what show are we talking about next week?
Next week, you wanted to go back to WCW. Well, we are going back to WCW with Halloween Havoc 1990. A lot of debuts on this show for people we will see for a long time to come, as well as Sting's first title defense. And thank goodness, far less talking.
Bless America. But you know who's not going to have less talking? Me. When I meet Sting this weekend, I will have to let everyone know how it goes.
Have fun.